This was awesome. Thank you for tuning in.
Welcome back, Julius. I had to get you back on the line. I think we just need to make this a weekly thing because I like talking to you, and it's so much going on in the news right now. I just wanted to kind of break down and unpack some stuff with you. But before we get into it, forgive me, last week I forgot to let the people know who you were, what you do, what you be about. So can you let them know who you are, introduce yourself to the audience?
Living my best life. I'm 32 years old, growing, learning more about myself every single day. It's a process. It's conversations that you and I have all the time, which prompted something like this because, it's necessary. So yeah.
And you work out, you
And
fit
I
as
work out.
fuck,
And I
you
work
love
out.
fitness
I'm
and
trying to
eating
be
healthy.
trying to be a little fit, trying to do a little not I'm a little small right now, but
No.
coronavirus got us locked in the house just opened back up.
And
But yeah. But yeah,
you definitely advocate healthy eating and wellness, and that's something that we talk about all the time. So I'm glad you let them know a little bit
nothing wrong
about
with a
you.
little drink though.
Huh?
Nothing wrong with a little drink.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't never hurt nobody.
Mm-hmm.
So we honestly, it's been a rough week, friend. We need a drink after the shit that's been happening this week. And because you and I, we talk about this stuff so much on this level, like I really wanted to unpack this, invite people into this conversation with us. And y'all can drop down in the comments and let us know how y'all feel too. It's just so heavy. Like, as a black man, friend, like, how do you feel when you constantly see this shit in the news? Like, does it make you scared? Does it make you get anxiety?
To be honest, it's weird because I'm just at a point where I'm realizing that this stuff has affected not just myself, but all black people in a very like subconscious way. Because I know when I see the cops, I'm nervous. My heart beats a little fast, and I've never got in trouble with the police, but I have been, pulled over with guns drawn on me for absolutely no reason. Just because of the type of car I was driving in Tallahassee. So it's something that is constantly on my mind. I live in a area where I don't see many black people here in Orlando, and when I go to a specific spot, I see the cops watching me as if I'm doing something, that I shouldn't be doing. It's a thing. It's really a thing, and I hate that everybody can't understand. Because I've been online, I've seen a lot of people saying, it's not a race thing, it's not race, it's not race, but there've just been too many instances. There's too many instances of stuff like this happening.
It is, and honestly, we could just get down to the nitty gritty. George Floyd, that man knee on that man neck. I saw 2 seconds of that video, and instantly, like, I felt like the weight of the world on me. I felt helpless. I felt drained. I felt heartbroken, and I felt haunted. Like, it made me feel like when I used to read like those stories back in like elementary school, or even now, like of slaves getting hung, shit happening to them, they testicles getting cut off, them getting whipped, like that. Looking at that made me feel how I felt when I watched or read about those things that happened to our ancestors, and that shit just, it broke me. Like, what did you think when you saw this story? Did you see the video? Could you watch it?
I did see the video. I didn't watch the entire video. It's funny because it's like we see this stuff online and we click on it. And I watched something the other day that was talking about, how these videos are so easily shared,
Mm-hmm.
and we're desensitized to it realistically because I know I'll watch it and it's horrible and I cried, obviously. It was
Me
devastating
too.
to watch. And I watched it up until he started calling for his mom. And,
Ooh.
come to find out his mom is not even here with us anymore. So to see a grown man this big black man, you know, sitting there laying on the ground, calling out to his mom. He obviously was in distress, and for that man to just sit there with his hands in his pocket and just to, you know, have his knee on his neck, basically, you know, completely choking him to death. It's just, it's horrible. It's horrible to watch. You know, I've hated to see the still images online of it. I just, every
His
time I see it,
oh, his eyes are like bulging out his head. And honestly, I didn't, because I watched 2 seconds. I was like, I know there's gonna be some shit that's gonna haunt me, that's gonna give me nightmares, that's gonna have me wanting to swing on the next white bitch I see. I don't want to do that. I live around too many white people right now, and I can't do that. So
and you know what? It's not, we have to be very clear with the fact that we're not saying it's like all white people, because there, you know, there are some white people that are allies, and in this moment, like I know
definitely,
a lot of the protests that I've seen in Atlanta, you know, it's not just black, which is funny. It's Atlanta, you know. I haven't seen just black people, you know, in
even in
Minneapolis,
Minneapolis, yeah,
you
it's
know,
not just black
it's
people.
not just black people. You know, I see, you know, white allies out there, people who happen to be white that are there, you know, by our side, helping and willing to protest. And the riots, that's another story. You know, I don't think people should tear up the, you know, the communities that they live in, you know, because of what's going on. Peacefully protesting is okay, but the rioting, that's something that I don't think should occur.
Well, well, I just said in one of my videos, we're gonna come back to the rioting because I'm gonna share how I feel about that right now. When I say I want to punch the next white bitch that I see because I'm so angry, first of all, I'm not about that life. I don't fight. Ain't never been in a fight in my life. I'm past that. I'm past that point in my life. I learned how to throw a punch, but at this point, it doesn't serve me. I'm never gonna fight nobody. Now I'm gonna get a gun and I'll shoot the shit out somebody. But I definitely want my concealed weapon license. I want to be able. It's my Second Amendment right. I'm all about that. And I think Black people should carry arms. But to my point, when I say that, and I think any white person who's watching this should understand what a Black person means when they say that. I'm not saying I'm gonna randomly go out and attack a white person. That's what y'all do. Y'all do that to us. We don't do that to y'all. What I'm hello. What I'm saying is when I see images like that, it angers me. It puts me on edge. I want revenge. I want justice. I feel helpless. And sometimes I feel like the only way to do that is to, you know, if I'm in a situation, you thinking what I'll do. And also, you also feel like I got this much patience for a white bitch right now. So the microaggressions, the can I touch your hair, the hey girl, hey girlfriend, the skipping you in line or bumping you, that
And
type of stuff right
I
now
don't,
is like I'm on edge. So don't do that, white person, because I may flip on you because of the tension right now. And I'm gonna tell you a story about my grandma from the McDuffie riots. You remember in Miami when the riots happened and they killed
right.
Arthur McDuffie, a white man, the white cops beat him up and got acquitted. I'm gonna tell you a story about my grandma. She was in the store and she said she saw, my mom and them said that they either saw a white person or somebody. They, you know, they grew up in the city, Liberty City. If you're from Miami, that's the city. And my grandma said the lady looked at her and she was like, bitch. And I can't remember if she said she was gonna slap her or if she did slap her. But mama, but that to me just showed, and you know, you remember my grandma, she was the God-fearing woman. God
Right.
bless her dead, but it just goes to show the racial tensions when something like that happens. So I just want white people to understand the mindset of us right now, to be an ally, to be sensitive, to be considerate.
And exactly, because you know, I've been online. I've watched different news stories on CNN. You know, I went on Fox's, you know, YouTube channel looking at different videos and
Fox News?
Fox. You know, I mean, just to see what's being said.
Well,
And it's
that's true, to see what the other side is saying.
exactly, and it's funny because, you know, obviously comments are like the bread and butter of social media, because it's like, you know, and of course people always say, you know, that the people in the comments are like the crazy people, but it's like, no, the comments are telling what people are really thinking, because
Mm-hmm.
the people commenting are people like me, people like you, like it's regular people that have opinions on whatever the topic is. And I noticed the comments on like Fox News regarding stuff like this. They're more so talking about the riots and things like that. You know, when you have a sprinkle of people in there saying stuff about, but this cop obviously killed this man on video. But, majority of the people are still saying like, yeah, but they're rioting. Why is the focus the riots and not the fact that this officer, like Philando Castile, I'll never forget
Ooh.
watching that video and seeing that man shoot him because he was scared. He was scared. That's the only reason he shot him. Like Philando didn't do anything. He had a concealed weapons license. He did have a gun on him, but the guy you could tell in the video was just afraid. And it's the same case with many black men here in America.
They afraid of you, Julius.
I know.
That's
I know.
that's crazy.
That's what's crazy. That is exactly what's crazy. Is that you can be driving down the road and a police officer sees you and they immediately are suspicious. They don't realize that we pay attention to these things, but I see when you take a double look at me. I see when you do that. I see when I'm like in a store where it's a predominantly white space and people are looking at me a certain way as if I don't belong there. But it's funny because, people make it seem like those things don't happen. Like I ventured over to Candace Owens' Instagram page today, and she's just talking about how black people make up this percentage of the population, and 55% of police shootings are white. Police murders are white people, and only 13% are black people. But this percentage of the population is black people make up this percentage of the population, white people make up this percentage. And it's funny because somebody in the comments, they basically broke down all the statistics, and they say black people make up 13% of the population, but they make up like 23 or 24% of police killings, which, based on that ratio, it's way disproportionate in regards to African Americans, so
it is. And that's what it is, like the prison, the preschool, what they say to prison pipeline, like we make up a disproportionate number of inmates versus our percentage of the population. Mm-hmm. So it's like, how are we most of the prison population when we're only 13 fucking percent?
That's what angers me, because people like Candace Owens post stuff like that, and then people read it as a blanket statement. They don't dig into the details and think from a mathematical perspective. That doesn't make sense. Like, that's not how it's actually going to work. Like the gentleman that did break that down in the comments, a lot of people under his comment was kind of saying like, yeah, this makes sense. Black people are 13% of the population, but they make up 23, 24% of, police shootings or police murders. That's disproportionate, significantly in regards to the ratio.
It really is. And I think a lot of people don't think about that, because even still, like, even if the number is like 20 something percent that we make up of police involved shootings, like you said, we're only 13%. So that number is still more than what we make up in this country. And I just feel like white America, you bougie blacks who don't wanna face the facts, y'all need to understand this shit was not made for us. It's a system. It's a systematic racist system, an institution.
That's what bothers me, is that people don't see that.
It's racist.
Like, there was a white lady that, she made a video. I watched it online, and she was basically saying, you had slavery, and then you had segregation, Jim Crow. You had all these different periods, and it's only been like about 65 or 60 years where black people have had time to, gain wealth and basically catch up to where white people have had an advantage of getting, for the past, Jesus Christ, I don't know how many years.
Since the start of this fucking country.
Right. But they always want us to, what is it, like, pick ourselves up from our bootstraps or something, whatever the,
Yeah, pick ourselves up from our bootstraps and forget what they did to us.
Right. And I mean.
And still do.
Realistically, a lot of today, a lot of Black Americans do that, but there are still things within us. You and I discuss this all the time, that slavery has passed through, generations, that has affected us. Like, we were born in the late 80s, but I tell you how I talk to my mom, my grandma, all of my family about certain things, qualities that they have that are toxic, that they haven't addressed. But we're millennials, you and I, we think about this stuff. These are things that we want to tackle. And all of this stems from slavery. All of the toxic traits, all of these things that we have come from the community we grew up in, the situations we had growing up with our parents, our family. All of those traits come from things that stemmed from the slavery days.
And like you were saying, like it passed through, like, and now they're saying like trauma passes through your bloodline, your generations. Like it's probably something that my great grandmama, granddaddy been through, seen something with a white person, Jim Crow, slavery, whatever, Reconstruction era, that I carry with me. And even still, we could talk about it in today's terms. Can I go get a business loan right now? Did I come from a family that had the resources that they needed to better themselves, and now from their lack, I was given lack, but now I have to figure it out myself and make a way? That's the good thing about being in America, is that you can make things happen that you want to. But what sucks about it is some people are born with a 100 head start, where the rest of us starting at 1, and you already 100 meters ahead of me. Yeah, I could still run this race, but you gonna finish before me. And that's the shit nobody don't want to address.
I was gonna say, a lot of people don't want to address that, and they don't want to admit that. They'll say, "I had, my struggle was just as hard," but was it just as hard? When you take every single situation and compare it, because you have some people that say, "I grew up in a trailer park and I did this," but even still, you literally have people that want to stop Black people from being successful. Like, as a white person, you don't have spaces where people are trying to stop you from progressing.
Just from the shit. I can't control this shit if I try. I can't take this color off my goddamn skin if I wanted to. And so, and I read an article when Trayvon Martin passed away, and I remember this girl, it was a white girl, wrote an article, and she said she used to get upset when people said white privilege, but she had to realize something within herself. She was like, yeah, I grew up in a trailer park, yeah, my dad was on drugs, or we grew up poor, but she's like, you know what, when I get in a car and the police get behind me, I'm not afraid. People don't follow me in the store. And she was like, that's the privilege of it. She's like, it's not that you grew up with so much, it's that you don't have a system that is against you.
Exactly. And that is what people don't understand. That I can be driving down the road and I see a cop just sitting there. Their lights could be on. They could have someone else pulled over. I've literally had the thought that they're gonna leave that person and chase me. Crazy.
That's fucking nuts.
But I can guarantee you that, a white person is they're probably not thinking that at all. They're kind of the Amy Cooper. Amy Cooper even said, as far, I don't know if we want to.
Let's get into it, because I was just thinking about that too. Who let them know who Amy Cooper, what that bitch did. You don't know this whole, you lost what she did.
If y'all haven't already heard about the story, Amy Cooper is the Caucasian lady in Central Park.
The white hoe.
The white lady called the cops on his name was Christopher. I forget his last name, but he was a Harvard graduate. Not that that is at all important in regards to the situation, but he was a Harvard graduate. He was a bird watcher. He was in the park, bird watching, and he asked her to put her dog on a leash, as the park rules state. And she did not want to do that. There was a back and forth between them, and eventually Amy called the cops. And in the midst of her calling the cops, she told Christopher that she was going to tell them that a Black man was harassing or threatening her. And it's funny because
She used it as a weapon.
yeah, she thought, and she literally, like, it was a threat. Like, she used it as like a threat, like as a weapon, like as if she had a knife. Like, I'm gonna tell them, you're trying to stab me. It's because he's black. And then she got proceeded to get on the line and act out a whole Oscar-winning scene of her saying that it was a black man there, basically threatening her life
That
because
bitch switched it. I watched that video and I got so upset. I felt, oh, I don't like bitches like you.
But the thing is, and I don't own a pet. I don't have a dog. I don't have a cat. I don't have anything. I'm allergic. But the fact that she was choking the dog, it wasn't even the situation with the man.
She had that dog.
I was cringed. The dog was quarter wrapped.
Scruffy ain't have a chance.
I'm choking like dog. I'm choking like the dog just acting the scene out. Listen, the dog was like grabbing up on her like, oh, Mom, please, please, I'm dying. Fell the fuck over. And she on the phone. And if you realize, that's when she got hyped. She got hyped when the dog like choked and flipped and fell back. She was like, oh my God, please, please come out and help. No, don't get all frantic and mad now because you didn't choke the damn dog to death and now you need the police to come out here. Ma'am, you deserve to be put in jail.
Wasting resources.
Wasting valuable resources. There was no reason for her to call the police. That man was not wrong in asking her to put that dog on a leash. The thing is I don't get the policing of black people by regular civilians.
Ahmaud Arbery, minding his, you're not a cop.
Oh, but according to a lot of people, he was a thief. Looking online and seeing what a lot of people are saying. Oh, he was a thief. He was stealing. He was running away. That blows my mind because
then let the police catch him.
That's what other people are saying, in rebuttal to those comments. But the issue with that is, why would you all think it's okay for him to just be like, you're literally saying, yeah, but he was a murder. He was a thief. He was stealing. Okay, but Dylan Roof killed 9 people, and the police, went and picked him up and basically gave him a pat on the back.
And bought him Burger King.
So, you can't explain to me. There's nothing that you can say at all to justify why Dylan Roof, who went in a church and killed 9 black people, was picked up and taken to Burger King to get something to eat versus a black man, who was running down, jogging, because some people say he's not jogging, so I say jogging. He was jogging down the road. If you're running from a place where you were trying to steal something, you're not like the guy was jogging.
Yeah, you're not that was a leisurely run. If you were trying to get away from something, it would be frantic, it would be fast, it would be erratic.
I can tell you he was jogging. And it makes sense for the way he was running towards the left of the truck and he pivoted to the right because the guy had a shotgun. And most of the people that I see online saying, certain things, they're saying, well, he ran up to Travis and Travis had a shotgun. He deserves to be shot. Sir, he had a shotgun.
What the fuck?
I'm running. If I'm running and someone has a shotgun, what am I gonna do? Oh, hey, y'all. Hey, I see you with the shotgun. I'm gonna run around the truck. No, that's not what's gonna happen. I am going to protect myself. I'm gonna defend myself. I see you. I see your father.
What are you all
doing? And even if he did go in the the construction they were doing on the home, but that people do that all the time. We found, you and I looked online. We saw a video online of a young lady. She was pregnant. She wanted to go walk. She was about to have her baby, but she was walking with her husband to kind of, get things going, and they were going to look at homes that were under construction. It was a whole YouTube video about it, them going to do it to white people.
Tuh.
You don't hear anything about, black people hunting them down and, oh, what are you doing? You're stealing. I don't understand it. I don't get it at all.
But here's the thing, and that's the shit that I don't get about. And when we say white people, we ain't gonna say all white people. We know some of y'all allies. We know some of y'all cool. One of my very, very good friends, my homegirl, I love her. I say she's gonna be my baby godmama. Like, I love her. It's not all everybody. You too. You got a lot of white friends as well. So we know it's not the entire race. But my thing is, this is so many of y'all feel like you have jurisdiction over what the fuck I do. Here's the thing. If me or you saw some suspicious activity, first of all, it's just not in our culture to go check the shit out ourselves.
At
all. I'm gonna call the cops. I'm gonna look. I'm gonna see, but I'm not going to check out anything myself. That's none of my fucking business. But no, I'm going to. You're a citizen's arrest. I'm gonna tell you, Jamal. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna be here and stop you from committing this crime. I'm doing a citizen's arrest. Sit your goofy ass down, white boy, white girl. You're not doing a set. Y'all, but I hope y'all know, because we talked about the protesters, and here's the thing. I know so many people, black people, have guns. Y'all better stop. Y'all better chill the fuck out, because right now people are angry. When I see, and I've been saying this on my timeline, people who generally are peaceful, like when the Ferguson protest came out and they were like it was wrong, I was one of those people too. I was like, man, don't destroy your own hood. Honestly, friend, and we follow Funky Dineva. Funky Dineva was like, tear that shit down, burn that shit down, and he had so many likes, and I liked it too. I'm not for people destroying. Like, I hate us destroying our own neighborhoods. We both grew up in Miami. We remember our parents talking about the McDuffie riots and how that ruined the black economy in Liberty City, a traditionally black area. We know what happened, I think, in New York, Detroit, black areas that had riots and they got destroyed and never really recovered from it. So I'm not for that, but honestly, friend, I get it. I understand that frustration, and I can't even say I'm mad at them people.
But the thing is, I've even saw online, granted, there was only one guy that they identified who was, apparently he's a cop, and he was, busting windows and basically inciting the riot. And his ex-wife is who identified him.
Was it a white boy who did it? Because that's what I heard. It was a white man who incited the riots, and then it was a white man trying to antagonize the protesters. So from what I heard, it wasn't that the protesters came out there with that in mind. It was white people who came out there.
Yeah, they were apparently they were peacefully protesting.
Yeah, and honestly, in the videos I saw, it was a lot of white people destroying stuff and looting. I don't know what Minneapolis is like, but
did you see the lady at Target stabbing people?
Yeah, in a wheelchair. She started trending on Twitter, and they tried to paint her as an elderly woman, but she's actually 30. And the whole head got up out that chair and was walking around too. So
I saw her, and I saw that she was in the chair, and in the video, it was a black guy. She was like, you can tell she was arguing with him. Because she walked up to him, like saying something, maybe like threatening him or something like that. But she was apparently stabbing black people as they came out of Target. And I know she was specifically stabbing black people because I watched the video where, a white girl came out and she let the girl walk past her and everything. And when the black girl tried to come out with her things, she attacked the black girl and people started screaming, she has a knife. She has a knife. And that's when they use the fire extinguisher on her.
And she deserved it. Ain't nobody tell you to come down there and police shit. You don't own Target.
What are you doing, man? Go away. Go away. What are you, you're literally using this situation. And granted, people should not be looting and, doing. Apparently that Target, though, they were saying that Target people, I guess tear gas or something was thrown into the crowd. And people were going in for milk and water to wash their face off, and their Target locked their doors. And that's what prompted people to then basically
loot
and tear it up. They tore that shit up. They tore that shit up.
They did. Did you see the tweet I sent you? It was said Target Minneapolis, and the tweet said, "Bring that shit the fuck back." When
Yeah,
I
I saw that.
when I say I was on the floor, I said I don't know who account this is or who hacked Target Minneapolis, and they had a Facebook page too. Clearly, it's a troll.
Yeah.
I thought that shit was so funny. Some levity amongst all this bullshit that's going on. Now you see George Floyd family apparently asked people to stop being violent, and no, they didn't want any violent protests going on. And I get that we can respect the family's wishes, but I think honestly, friend, people are just tired. And it's like we've been peaceful. We've been trying to trust in this justice system. We've seen George Zimmerman walk past. We've seen the guy who killed Mike Brown go get another job as a police. I think people are frustrated. And you know what? Something, I don't know if you've seen this in the news, but I seen on social media, police departments are coming out and saying, hey, we ain't with that fuck shit. That ain't us.
Oh, really?
We protect and serve our constituents. We don't approve of
I
that.
saw New York Police Department apparently arrested a bunch of protesters, and the bus driver refused to take them to drive them to the jail.
For real?
Yeah, he was standing outside the door and he would not drive, and people were out there like basically cheering him on, but they filled the bus up with protesters that they wanted to arrest, and they wanted the driver to drive them into the jail, and he refused.
Good job, bus driver.
I know. I was like, people are really standing in solidarity with black people in a situation like this, because it was a race thing. That would not have happened if that man was white. And that's not to say that it wouldn't have happened if he was Hispanic or any other race, because people like to say black people always make it.
Oh, they do it to Hispanic boys
They
too.
do it to Hispanics too, and it would be a thing if it was recorded and publicized the way that this was. If George was Hispanic, it would be the same. We would be doing the same thing. Hopefully, I don't look at what was the young guy's name in New York.
Oh,
The boy, you know who I'm talking about, in the bodega.
yeah.
Not Junior. I'm thinking about saying, what was it? Run it, run it. What movie was that? With Junior? I'm Lil Saint. Look, I'm all over the place right now. Either way, it was a movie where they was dancing and joking and all that stuff.
You talking about something, y'all?
Something, y'all. One of those when the little boy got killed. That's the name I mistakenly mentioned. But the guy from New York, the young man from New York that was stabbed and killed mistakenly.
Oh yeah, in the bodega, that video, and they dragging him out the store.
And they mistake him for someone else. Exactly. So, and remember, people lost it about that. That wasn't related to the police, but it was still like, it doesn't have to be a black person. If this was someone that was not black, it would, hopefully be the same outrage.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing.
Listen, it's forever.
During that time, because it seemed like every year somebody was a new hashtag, but between Trayvon Martin up until now, there's been a couple of Hispanic men, I think. I don't know if it's women, but I know definitely Hispanic men who have lost their lives at the hands of police officers. So it's been a black and brown thing, and we from South Florida. We know certain parts of the track, Hialeah, certain areas where they're more urban Hispanic type of people, lower income, Attapata area, where they're urban type of Hispanic people, they're low income. We know they get treated the same way as black people. So they understand, a lot of them understand that fight we have. You know how they treat Mexicans out west anyway. So they understand, our struggle in that. And so we stand together with them. I wish all of them identified with our struggle, because the numbers would be there, because we're already on path to be a minority majority. Like they say, all the third graders right now is majority people of color. So they projecting the population that by the time they become adults, then those numbers are going to be overtaken. And that's why I think you see white people are trying to hold on, especially on a political level, on a government level. They're trying, the GOP, they're trying to hold on to that power because they know we're coming and we're going to flip this shit all the way over. We're not going to have the inequality no more. We want equity. We want our things. We want our reparations. We want fairness. We want justice. And it's coming. And realistically, if all of us did what we were supposed to do, we'll have what we need because we got the numbers. But they gerrymander the districts. They make sure that we can't vote in numbers. The GOP is always messing with the districts in the numbers so that one candidate can have more votes than others. So something that may be a majority black district, they'll change the district line, and then now that candidate won't have the majority vote that they would be, and now a white person or a person that they want, sometime in Florida, that's a Hispanic person, a Republican can come and get that seat, and they have the control of the House, the Senate, on the state and federal level. And so we have to be mindful of that. I get it. If you tearing shit down, I ain't gonna say I condone it. I ain't gonna say I'm against it. I'm gonna just put it there. But we also gotta stay focused and know that it's a bigger fight to be had, because we gotta make sure the judge in this George Floyd case do their job. We got to make sure the prosecutor do their job. And if they don't do their motherfucking job, we need to vote their ass out and put somebody in there who gonna have our best interest at heart. That is the thing. We got to stay focused.
Local elections.
It is.
People don't focus, but it's situations like this that show they're, not more important than,
They are more important than the presidential election because they directly affect us.
Yeah, exactly. This situation with George shows that. I mean, I'm glad that this time around, I see a lot more, white people standing with.
Yes.
People on
Thank you.
I see that, and I think that is something that is going to spark a change. Because before you didn't really see that, and granted, I have some friends that have not made a peep. You saw I made a few posts on Instagram about it. Because people don't understand. People don't get that this happens. This happens to people that you know. This happens to me. This happens to people like you, Black women. It's something that a white person won't get, because as you said, you all aren't afraid when the cop gets behind you. When you're out and you're shopping and you see a cop, you see them as a form of protection. While a Black person has to wonder, are they going to follow them? I think that all the time. If I pass a police car, I always think, oh, is he going to get behind me? White person doesn't think like that. And then we have to worry about, is he going to shoot and kill me about something that I have not done?
Exactly. And even white people, I've been working out, I'm quarantining up the road in Connecticut with my boyfriend, and it's a lot of white people here. And so I go walk this trail, and it's a lot of white boys that be there. And when I see and I now have anxiety from white men. Like if I see them in packs, I try to avoid them. I don't try to make eye contact. I don't want to go too close. I don't say nothing. And at one point, it's like it's a cliff that I walk over, like a hill, more like a hill. And it's like at certain parts it's really narrow, and sometimes you got to pass people to go through. And it's in the trees too, so it's like woodsy around there. And at one point it was just me and the white guy walking past each other, and it's like a cliff next to us. Like if he pushed me, I could really die and fall like on rocks into the stream. And I got so much anxiety walking past that man. Like it was just me and him walking past each other. It wasn't nobody else around.
Another human being that you don't know.
Because he was white, I thought he could kill me. And that's how I think about white people now. I'm like, even whether you a cop or you're a regular man, and he's fit the stereotypical, shoot 'em up, mass shooter look. And so I'm like, is he racist? Is he? And thank God I'm in a blue state. Most people here are liberal anyway, and they're Democrats. They don't think like that. They're pretty progressive here, but it's still like you said. The crazy thing is, I have that thought in my mind now when I see white men, whether they're in uniform or not. I think, are they? Because that's what Ahmaud Arbery was just minding his fucking business. Trayvon Martin just minding his business, and these are people who just felt like they could just do whatever to them.
But if you look at the Ahmaud Arbery case, there were a few calls into the police station about a black man in that area being suspicious during that time, but it's just even the mere fact that they were calling, stating that there was a suspicious black man. I remember one instance where I was here in, downtown Orlando, and I was in a specific space going to the movies, and it's a predominantly, white area. And I was just standing there, and I saw the cop pull up, and he looked over at me. He stopped, looked over at me, and then he kept driving. Literally stopped and looked right at me, no one else. So I called the police station, and I said, not 911, but I called the actual police station. I said, this cop, this car number, stopped and stared at me out of everyone in the area for no reason. The police chief, or not the chief, or the guy who was in charge, the sergeant or whoever was in charge at that time, said to me, well, maybe, they were looking for someone and you fit the profile. This is what this man told me, that I could possibly have fit the profile for who they were looking for. How many times have you heard that about a black man? Oh, well, he fit the profile. It wasn't him, but he fit the profile. So, that's why we chased him down, and he ran. So I had to shoot him and kill him because he ran from me and he fit the profile. But realistically, this man had nothing to do with the situation. That's happened so many times. So that's why when I tell my white friends, that I've been in circumstances like this, it's something like that, like being pulled over, in Tallahassee with guns drawn until they saw that it was me, then they put the guns away. But it's like, you have never experienced that. You don't know. You can't even speak to that.
When do white people ever fit the profile? When do they ever fit the profile? And then why does me fitting the profile mean a gun to my head, a knee on my neck, me being choked out? Why can't, like you said with the Dylan Roof, you could fucking kill somebody and make it to the police department? Can I at least make it to the police department? Can that happen?
Right. Because
we ain't even making it.
You say my hands are hurting, or the cuffs are too tight, you're resisting arrest. And they're gonna slam you to the ground and choke you out and put a knee on your neck and all type of craziness. Just because you are in pain at the moment, in the midst of being arrested. And it's funny because I saw somebody online saying, black people basically need to comply. And I hate to hear that, because you have instances where people will literally, a white person will get stopped by the cops and they'll run. I saw a video online the other day, an older white lady ran from the cops. She was basically like, sir, you're not giving me a ticket. There's no point in you stopping me. She ran, and he chased her and he tased her, but he talked to her like a human being the entire time. Black people don't get that courtesy. If that was a black person, first of all, they would have called SWAT the minute that the person ran.
Exactly.
By the time you got to your location where you were going to stop and roll out of the truck, they would have been there to shoot you dead.
Exactly.
But that lady was honestly able to run away, and then not only run away, talk mad shit once he caught up to her. And he was calm the whole time, and it was a white cop, obviously.
And that's when they say, well, I'm scared and I'm this. You have the training to do it. You just don't know how to. You don't see me as human, so you don't feel like you got to use that training on me for whatever reason.
I mean, sometimes they don't, because I know, what is his name? Gregory McMichael, the man who killed, assisted in the murder of Ahmaud Arbery, the father. I mean, in that case, gotta edit it out. I totally forgot where I was going with that. Next. Well, yeah, the Ahmaud Arbery, situation, Gregory McMichael and his son Travis, the George Floyd, the Amy Cooper situation is just supporting everything. It's showing the way through a lens of how she's seeing him, how white people see black people as a threat, and willing to use that as a weapon to cause something sinister, because realistically, if that man wasn't recording that video in the park, he would have been a hashtag along with George,
Man.
along with Ahmad, because we have to remember that, because I also noticed that some people are not mentioning the Ahmaud Arbery case now because of the George Floyd case.
And Breonna Taylor.
And Breonna Taylor also. Not intentionally, but this is how much.
It's so much. It's like
it's too much.
I tweeted, I said, I can't even mourn, pray, and do what I want to do, what I need to do to support a family through this on my side of the country, whether that's signing a petition for change, whether that's donating to some cause. I can't even do that before the next person is a hashtag. Like, I can't even get my mind right and understand what just happened before the next person is killed.
It's the justification for me. It's the justification by so many people that like, well, what did he do? What did she do? What was the situation? I need the details.
There's nothing.
I don't need details because I don't understand why the cops or civilians would be able to go out and just kill people for specific situations. I've seen so many people say online, what if Ahmaud would have never ran up to Travis? The guy had a shotgun.
It's really nothing that justifies this, and it's so crazy that this is where we are right now. I'm just so happy that you hopped on the line to talk with me about this and really like share your perspective as a Black man and share your stories, because it's so needed. We could definitely talk about this all day and come back to this topic because it's just so heavy and so much to unpack and unload. And it's crazy. We all got our own personal stories, but man.
And we have to get together at a time like this, because obviously people like to categorize, and we categorize ourselves as just like being crabs in a barrel, constantly trying to pull each other down. But I think moments like this really bring Black people together in certain instances, because there are certain people who, don't totally agree with our stance on the situations, but realistically, the majority of Black people do agree. And I like to see that. I like to see us come together and stand together. And not only that, allies from other communities who are willing to stand with us to, fight against this. Fight against all these injustices that have occurred over the past 50, 60 years,
Man, this shit gotta stop. I'm so thankful that you jumped on, and I just want to say let's do this again.
Oh yeah, yeah. And this is just the topic at hand right now. Obviously, we have a lot to discuss.
Yeah, there's so many things we can unpack.
So many things. You got your Buddha head back there in the background, so we definitely have to hop on here and discuss spirituality.
Yes.
The process that we've, been on, the path we've been on to, mental stimulation as far as, growing, being better, people based off the circumstances that we had to deal with growing up. That's something that we definitely have to come on here and tackle, talking about therapy, therapy being okay for Black people, that being something that people should address. And,
well, we all damn near need therapy now after seeing somebody lose their life on camera again.
Again, for the who knows how many times.
I lost count. That's the sad part.
Exactly. But yes, I thoroughly enjoyed the discussion. We have to, we're going to continue this.
We are.
We will continue to bring this to you all. This will be something that we will do because there are topics that need to be discussed. There are things that need to be addressed, and it needs to come from a certain perspective. Like Janey and I have that. Well, how do we like to say it, friend? Like we come from that like hood. We that
It's the
Bougie.
cross section of bougie ghetto hood professional. It's a cross section.
Exactly. So we have both views. We've been in that corporate environment. I'm in that corporate environment. You being a business owner now, we're in that space where we have to move a certain way, but we grew up, not in the ghetto per se, but we grew up in that typical black community that didn't
Yeah,
have everything,
yeah, the black working class community, and we
working class
definitely,
community, exactly.
yeah, we're gonna definitely continue to share our perspectives. And thank you, Julius. Let people know, how can they connect with you if they want to connect with you, if they want to see what's going on with Julius. What they need to do.
You can follow me on Instagram. JAYJ1087 is my Instagram handle. And also, I'll be starting my own YouTube page. And also, we're gonna get a podcast going. We're gonna
Yes.
get a podcast going. We'll come on here. We have Hello News where Janae is giving you all the information. This isn't your grandma's. So, but we're gonna have our podcast where we discuss important topics, casual things. We'll get that going. But for right now, the IG is where it is. I'm a businessman, so I'm constantly busy with work. So I take this leisure time to hop on here with you for right now. But yeah, at some point I'll have my own thing.
I appreciate you taking time. I'm gonna definitely drop your information in the description box if they want to connect with you. Y'all, let us know in the comment section. Let us know what your thoughts are on these issues going on with social justice and criminal justice in this community and in the world. Let us know what you thought about what we had to say. Did you agree? Did you disagree? And we're gonna keep rocking. And I thank y'all for listening. And yeah, we're gonna do this again. We're gonna keep it going.
Yeah.
Good night, y'all, or good morning, or good afternoon, whenever you listening.
One love.
Good night. Oh,